The topic of UFOs and alien visitation of planet Earth is at an all-time high. And to be fair, more people than not think that aliens are visiting Earth or have at some point in the past. However, nothing is certain. But when we see articles with the Pentagon officially releasing actual videos of unexplained aerial phenomena, this has people asking questions. In fact, we even have NASA allegedly joining the hunt for UFOs. However, if you were to ask me, how could they not have always been doing this? As if astronauts and other types of technology orbiting the Earth haven't been doing so already? I mean, come on. Now, many people have asked me what my thoughts are on this, and I have quite a few things to say. In fact, to be blunt, yes, I do think that aliens have been visiting Earth. However, I think that it's been happening for a very, very long time. And as I've shared in videos a few years ago, if you look at some of the earliest tablets from human civilization that date back to ancient Mesopotamia, or the birthplace or cradle of civilization, you see some very bizarre images. I mean, just look at this. It appears that there are three beings on some sort of aerial craft in the shape of a bird or hawk or eagle, with gentlemen down below seemingly greeting them. Now, you could say, oh, this is simply just honoring the gods, or that these are angels or something to that effect. But I mean, like I always say, look and think for yourself. I mean, it has long been argued that the Sumerians have had advanced knowledge of our solar system that far exceeds the known capabilities of 5,000 and 6,000 years ago. I mean, if you ask me, it seems that they knew or understood that we had planets orbiting around the sun. However, not everyone will agree with this and think or say that they're simply just stars. This is something that cannot be known for sure, but again, look and think for yourself. Now, when I bring up the Sumerians and the Assyrians, look at these bizarre sea creatures that you find in multiple depictions. This brings up the recent articles involving these alleged UFOs that have been witnessed by the United States military for having dove down into the ocean and disappearing. Now, let's be real. If there was one place for someone or anything to hide on planet Earth, it'd be at the bottom of the ocean, particularly around places like, say, the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. That's a vast mountain system, one of the biggest on Earth. And there could be cave systems under there that we would have no way of knowing, especially being several miles down. Now, when I look at these images that date back so many thousands of years, could they be depicting that beings had come from the ocean and attempted to gift us things? After all, the Sumerians do claim that beings had come down and gave us advanced knowledge. However, this is all subject to debate, but there are some very bizarre paintings and other artwork that date back several hundred years that show some things that might make you think. So this painting, also known as the Madonna, this dates back to the 1400s. And when you look to a bizarre detail in the upper right-hand corner, this is something that many people were not aware of until just the last several years. What you see is a gentleman and his dog literally peering up into some sort of craft. And I mean, come on. Like I always say, look and think for yourself, and I can't say it enough because there's different ways of interpreting this, and it must be said that the painter, it's not exactly known why he painted this. This is subject to debate, it's not widely documented, and nothing is known for sure. However, to be clear, scientists and historians do not think for 1 second that this could possibly be an alien spacecraft of any kind. But again, when I look at this, it's just truly bizarre. Now, many people have seen this painting before, however, there are other ones that are lesser known. This painting here, known as the Crucifixion of Christ from the 1350s, is on a mural in Spain, or excuse me, actually Kosovo. But when you look in the upper right and left-hand corners, you see two bizarre images that have beings in these flying craft that, well, just look. Now, let's be clear, this is said to be the sun and the moon. But, I mean, when I look at this, I can't help but think that we're witnessing something different. Now, again, I'm not convinced of anything. Sure, yeah, maybe this is just the sun and just the moon. But it is truly bizarre. And like I said, that involves the crucifixion of Christ, and this dates back 700 years ago. And when you look at other images of Christ you will notice that these are not the only images that have so-called UFOs in them. For example, the miracle of the snow, which again dates back to the 1400s. Look at this and tell me what you see. I mean, it stands out. You see many craft, or possible craft, and I mean, you see these people down below just worshiping or doing whatever. I mean, I don't know, guys. I look at this and those do look like flying saucers. Let's be real. Now, again, this is not proof that they are flying saucers. However, speaking of Christ and now the baptism, this image dates back to the early 1700s, and it's of the birth of Christ. And what you see is this thing up in the sky shining 4 beams of light down. Now, some people will say this may represent the 3 wise men in some capacity, or, blessing of angels and God. But it is a bizarre painting from the early 1700s. But let's move along to something else that I think is even more interesting. And this one is called the Annunciation with Saint Emetius. And this is, again, from the 1400s. What you see here is some things going on in the street, and this beam of circular light beaming down into this home, or wherever it is, into this woman, and the beam with the dove seemingly going into her head. And this could have so many different types of interpretation. This could be, again, the announcing that Mary the angel had been visited Gabriel and the Holy Spirit, and there's different things you can read up on this. And one thing I've noticed is that if you read things in different places, you'll hear different answers. So again, not to be redundant, but I always say look and think for yourself. Again, this does not prove at all that there was some sort of alien visitation giving this woman knowledge or whatever else. But it's a bizarre painting. I mean, look at the sky. What's happening here? You have these other people down below on the street. I don't know. It's just weird, and it's fascinating. And this is a particular image that many people have never seen or heard of before. Now, the next image I'm a little bit more skeptical of. This dates to Israel in the 1600s. There's not a whole lot known about it, to be honest. But what you see is this home with this, again, possible flying saucer. And this is on a tapestry. It's not the best image. And again, since so little is known about it, it's hard for me to even really say anything about it definitively. Again, it's just strange and it's worth sharing. Now, if we move on to the other side of the world, to Peru, you will notice what's called the Nazca lines, or then Bolivia, excuse me. And you have this being waving to the sky, and this thing is hundreds and hundreds of feet long. It's massive. And it's on the slide of a hill, and it's facing upwards towards the sky, and it's seemingly waving at someone. That's bizarre. Everyone knows it. It's unexplainable. There's nothing more than interpretation because we don't understand who actually did it and why. But again, it's bizarre. Now, since we're in this part of the world, I must bring up King Kapaa, or Pakal, and this image, which of course has been seen by many people, as some ancient astronaut theorists will say, hey, look, this guy's on an alien spacecraft of some kind. It's like a jet. He's operating it almost like a motorcycle, and it's clearly a craft to take you somewhere. Now, let me first say that this is on the lid of this king's sarcophagus. And to be fair, every image that you'll see in depiction of this King Pakal is weird. He's green. He looks odd. It's strange in every way. However, you can look into different interpretations of this. Again, in my own view, this is something that nobody can fully explain. It's obviously bizarre. I'm very open-minded to it. I'm not convinced one way or the other, and perhaps you shouldn't be either. But if there was some way, if we were to ever excavate and find some sort of craft that looked like this, then all of a sudden everyone would be like, well, see, it was so obvious and no one wanted to hear it, right? So now, that being said, I've discussed, and you might recognize my shirt as I wore it in this last video from a couple years ago, where I discussed what's called transient lunar phenomena, where lights have been seen on the moon from Earth over the last 1,500 years. In fact, there's more than 1,500 noted examples, even documented by NASA. And by the way, yes, this is a real photo. This is from the University of Columbia, and this was taken in 1953. And this is something that's happened, like I said, thousands of times over more than a millennia. And these examples are absolutely fascinating, where you'll have documented cases where red lights have been seen glowing on the moon for hours on end. And it implies, more than anything else, that would be volcanic activity. But that's not supposed to be happening on the moon. The moon is supposed to be dead and boring, right? go check out this video. It's worth your time. I think that there are a number of details in it that you'll find to be completely fascinating. Now, with all this said, this is not a topic that I am going to not discuss again because there's too many other examples. I mean, if you look at Christopher Columbus's journey to America, or alleged journey, I mean, he didn't discover anything, but never mind that. He documents in his diary that there was an orb following them, like a reddish orb. And guys, when you start to see things yourself, or if you know other people that you find to be very trustworthy, credible, family members, whoever, and they tell you the stories that more and more people are seeing. Like my brother and his wife saw an orb when they were up in the mountains at a cabin, and it was this orange orb that was going horizontally quite quickly, and all of a sudden just shot up to space, gone like that. That's not supposed to exist. It defies the laws of physics. So something's happening here. The question is it us? Which I do think. But the question is, where did we get this advanced technology that defies the laws of physics? Is this something we found? Is this something we inherited from beings that had once visited us long ago? Or is this something that's happening right now by beings that are observing us? Because I'll be honest with you, I think that us as humans are such a bizarre species that it would seem to make sense that we're hybrids. I've discussed this many times before. It just seems that we don't assimilate at all in our environment. There's something odd about us. And I mean, if you look at any city from space, it almost looks like a cancer spot. There's something, I mean, every other animal and creature on Earth just assimilates naturally, but we don't. And we're a mad species. We're like getting in wars. We kill each other for no good reason most of the time. It would seem to make sense to me that when you look at all these different historical examples, or should I say religious examples of angels, demons, and sky gods coming down and creating man in their image, I'm like, guys, maybe we are the aliens and this is exactly how they look. I don't know. This is a wild topic. To me, it's one of the most fun things to talk about, and I will be discussing it in further videos. My next video is supposed to be on Atlantis, as I told everyone before, but there's a few more tweaks this video needs. It's not quite ready. It needs to be a good one, and I wanted to knock out something really fun and interesting for you guys to think about as I finish that one up. But that said, leave a comment, share what your thoughts are on all of this and all these paintings. I guarantee it, you know, there's people like, oh, this is totally explained, but if you can't find documentation of the actual painter explaining why they painted these things, which is the case for many of the things I just shared with you, to me, it's like it's fair game to discuss an open interpretation because we already know that there's people that look at this in two different ways. The aliens have never been here, never were, blah, blah, blah. And other people that are convinced that they're here right now or, you know, and anything else. So that being said, it's a fun topic, so share your thoughts on it in the comments. But I'm Jimmy Corsetti. My channel is called Bright Insight, and look forward to a new video on Atlantis coming real soon. Thank you all for watching. Bye now.